The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Hello everyone, thank you for joining this webinar and good afternoon from beautiful Prague, Czech Republic. My name is Tibor Pilnaj and I am responsible for e-commerce, sales and marketing at CE Travel Systems. We appreciate that you're interested in eStreaming API, so today I'm going to talk about our cache solution, about big data, how we work with that, how we process it, and how you can benefit from it. A few house rules before we begin. You will be muted during the webinar to avoid any echo or noise because there are participants from all over the world. The webinar will take less than, around 30 minutes, let's say. And then at the end, I will show you where you can find answers to your questions and how you can also contact us with more questions. So first, let me give you a short background to who we are. We represent Travelpod in 12 countries in Central and Eastern Europe, where we take care of agencies using Galileo GDS. So for those of you who are our colleagues from Travelpod, from offices all around the world, we're basically the biggest NDC in Europe. But besides distributing Travelpod's great core solutions, we are also a developer under the brand CE Travel Systems. So what happens is that sometimes our local agencies need a solution that is not yet available in Travelpod's portfolio. And that's why a few years ago, we decided to develop some of these solutions ourselves. And when we saw that they help our local agencies grow their travel business, we told ourselves, why not offer them to other markets? Which is exactly what happened. And that's how the brand CE Travel Systems came to existence. And in other words, it means that you can be sure that eStreaming API and our other solutions have been already approved by many other agencies around the world. So let's jump into eStreaming API. And first of all, let me share with you how you can benefit from eStreaming API. This solution allows you to significantly increase cache bookability. And the cache bookability is the key value that is interesting for agencies who use any sort of non-GDS shopping cache, predictive settings, and so on. eStreaming API also provides blazing fast results for meta searches. Any request that we'll cover later will give you results in no more than half a second. Usually it's less. And it also gives you instant access to fares published in any country. So as you know, airlines usually publish different fares for different BSPs. So thanks to eStreaming API, you can go and search all of them. And any type of flex-like searches over cache data is also available. I'll show you later what it means. It also offers you powerful insights from the big data that we have from the online eStreaming analysis. And the price is really affordable for any agency as well. So now, where do we get our data? Basically, we take them from Travelpod eStreaming. The nature of this product, I mean Travelpod eStreaming, is pretty simple, but for those of you who are not familiar with it yet, I'll explain it a bit. So every time any agency or online travel agency do their shopping using Travelpod GDS, the original shopping request goes to Travelpod servers. Travelpod then processes this request and then sends the results. It means price offers with different conditions, timings, airlines, and so on and so forth. But simultaneously with the original request, Travelpod sends this data also to all subscribers of Travelpod eStreaming. And we're also one of these subscribers. So we're getting all these results from all over the world and we process them for you. But when we're talking to clients who are using or trying to use Travelpod eStreaming, we discover that eStreaming and big data in general is a hard nut to crack for agencies and even for those who have a development team, because it requires a strong understanding of big data programming, which is different from the usual databases. And you cannot simply use your usual database to store this amount of data. Imagine that each and every search results is there, in Travelpod eStreaming of all your competitors from any website that you know, and this is in your hands. But then you need to redundantly store all this data, and even if you calculate the price of the hard drives required to store this data, we're talking about a pretty significant investment. And once you store the data, you need to develop a fast search and begin to process it. And all of this from the scratch because Travelpod provides you only with the search results. Once you do all this, you need to create an API to access this data and to handle it in a high fault tolerant manner. Because if you lose the connection or your server goes down, you will not get the results again from Travelpod eStreaming. So considering all this, we understand that each user of eStreaming needs to do the same things. It's the same process all over again with each new user. Therefore, we decided to create this once and then simply share it among our users. And we share with them the structure and pieces of codes required to use this big data and to benefit from it. That's why we created eStreaming API. So to summarize all this, eStreaming API is a solution built on top of the data from Travelpod eStreaming. So as I've already wanted to say, that is that it's all about sharing the infrastructure among our users or with our users. So how does it work? So we receive data from Travelpod GDS course. We receive this massive data stream and we create a massive data processing. Then we store it in our data warehouse. And finally, it's ready for those of you who use our open API. The C stands for customers. And the API is very simple. It is self-documented and it is based on the JSON format, which your developers will appreciate very much, believe me. So what exactly are we sharing? It's data online processing from any market. We store this data for you, so it's warehousing. We take care of the API. We provide the solution as a service, so you will not need to take care of any updates. It just works and it's waiting for your requests. And it runs on the strong Amazon Web Services backend. We're an official partner of Amazon Web Services. It is one of the biggest server platforms in the world, so it means we are ready to maintain literally any number of simultaneous requests from our customers, from you. In other words, capacity will never be an issue, and we're ready to process the data for you without any time drops. Now, how much data do we actually have? Just to give you an idea, during the last year, we processed about 2 petabytes of data. And for those of you who are not programmers like myself, I'll briefly explain what a petabyte means. So if you imagine the entire Wikipedia, we store an equal amount of the data of all articles, including media like pictures and videos in all available languages, all this multiplied by 100. So this is the amount of data that we process. And by the way, for those of you who have tested this solution before, eStreaming API, I encourage you to do it once again because we're working closely with Travelpod to increase the volume of data. And we are aware that we have gaps in some markets because we simply cannot give you more data than we receive from Travelpod eStreaming. But the latest update was done a few weeks ago and it helped us increase the amount of data even more. So if you've already tried eStreaming API, please try it again and see for yourself. In order to get all this data, we process 10 billion of pricing options daily. So now let's take a closer look at the services that we're actually offering. As you can see on the screen, our services are split into 3 categories. The first one is the Cache API, the second one is the Callback, and the third one is reporting. I will go through them briefly one by one to explain them in more detail. So the first and most obvious is the Cache API. It gives you full access to shopping cache of all Travelpod agencies in NABSP and/or ARC. It can be an outstanding replacement for any in-house made caches that you probably have without the necessity to handle vast amount of data from Travelpod eStreaming. So you can imagine all your competitors, all the offline agencies, all the results that they get are in our hands and ready for you. If you prefer your own cache with your own data, the thing is that your own data that is generated by the search results from your website, for example. The thing is that the bookability could be lower because the freshness of this data will not be so high. And the reason for this is that if in the same period of time someone is searching for the same particular destination for a particular date on your website, I'm sure that around the globe, 100 other people are doing the same thing. So that's why we can offer and share with you fresher data. Part of the Cache API is the Fly From API. Again, we're talking only about data, and it's totally up to you how you will visualize it on your website. But here's one example. The Fly From API is a method to ask for the lowest current prices for all destinations from a particular city or airport, which literally means that you just send us any city or airport and we'll immediately give you back thousands of price options for flights from that particular airport and back. We'll give you the cheapest possible option in the future, which we consider available, but the cheapest one that we've ever tracked in all the data stream that we have received. So using this data, you can create a world map like this, as you can see on the screen, and it would be a very nice part of your website that can maybe inspire your customers to fly somewhere. It's especially useful for leisure traffic when the customer is not really sure where to fly. Another way of visualizing this information is done by our customer TripMyDream. They show it as a list of proposals. So you just select the city, here is Kiev, and a couple of filters here, and then you'll get a list of all possible options how to fly out of Kiev. For example, here's Vienna for just $58, which is pretty nice price for a round trip. You can also get inspired by how the big players visualize the data from Travelpod eStreaming. So, for example, let me switch to my web browser. If you go to kiwi.com, you will get a map like this with real-time prices in various destinations around the globe. So if I zoom in on the map like this, I can click, for example, that I want to fly to Düsseldorf, and I get the options there. So this is one way how to visualize it. Similarly, Emirates provide an inspirational map, which we can see right here. So I can type in some airport. So I want to fly from Prague. I can depart on the 6th of December and I can come back in a week's time. And the inspirational map will show us some nice offers around the globe, and we can filter them out based on what we're interested in, whether it's a beach, safari, history and culture, etc. So this is another way how to visualize big data. And then if I would, for example, if I selected that I want to fly to Ghana, then I would get to specific offers taken from the big data stream, and then I would continue with the usual booking process. So all these options to visualize big data help their customers of Kiwi.com and Emirates to decide and to make a booking. And I would like to share with you one more example. We have recently published a free online app that shows you what kind of data you can get from eStreaming API. So all you need is to fill in, let me go right here. So all you need to do is to go to this link, the first one, eStreaming-API-CEsystems.com, where you just fill in and submit a short form under this first link. So then you will instantly receive an authorization token via email. You will go to this second link, and you'll see this simple interface. So this is the token that you will receive via email after the registration. So you just enter the token here. The point of sale will most probably be your country, but it can be anything else. In our example, let's stick to CZ for Czech Republic, for the Czech Republic. Again, the origin will most probably be the city where your travel agency is located, but it can be anything else. So let's stick to Prague in our example. PRG is the IATA code for Prague. Now, because I've tried it before, I don't need to confirm that anymore, but you will need to confirm that you're not a robot. It's the usual Google check that the user is not a robot. So you just confirm that and you hit search. So as we can see here in the top left corner, there was an animation that the eStreaming app is retrieving data through the eStreaming API from Travelpod eStreaming, and the search results show return flights by default. If you wish to search for one-way trips, you would just tick this option right here, and you could hit search and you would get just one-way trips. The search results are by default listed from the lowest to the highest price, as you will see if I scroll down like this. And there are many pages, so this is really the lowest option. So as we can see, the lowest price that will get us from Prague to somewhere, in this case to, I believe this is Paris. So it's for about, let me count, it would be about $120, something like that, from Prague to Paris, which is a nice fare. The currency is by default in Czech crowns. Here are the city pairs, so from Prague to Paris, for example. Dates for the onward and return journeys. So we're talking about 10th of March 2018, and the return date would be 11th of March 2018. Here's the carrier, so Air France, information on when the result was last modified, and for your easier reference, how old is the search result in hours, which is an important information as well, because you might want to search not by the price, but by the freshness of the result. So each column or data in each column can be filtered like that. So if I use the age and hours filter, I will get the freshest search results, which are 0 hours old. Now, let's say that you want to search for price options to a particular destination. In my case, I would pick New York City. So let's just type the IATA code in, select New York City, and we can see that there's a 3 hours old, let's say, price option or search result, and it's Prague, New York City for less than 9,000 crowns, which is a very nice price as well. And it's just 3 hours old, so it's really fresh. So let's keep this example, and now imagine that you might want to keep an eye on flights to New York City that are under 9,000 crowns, which would be roughly maybe $450, something like that, $420 for a return flight. So when we're having this option here, you would just click the set limit button. You would enter that you want to keep an eye on flights or price options under 9,000 crowns, and you hit update. So you set a limit on the price like that, and all these, let's say, limitations or price options under this limit are highlighted in red. So the app remembers this setting for your individual token, and when you remove this destination filter and get to the original list that we can see here, you can quickly display price options under your setup limit for the selected destinations by clicking this option. So just click this items below the set price limit option, hit search, and here we go. So you can imagine that even if you currently don't have any plans for, visualizing big data maybe on your website or through your in-house online booking engine, then this app is also very useful because it can be also used by basically by any travel agent. So once you can see that there is a nice offer like that, then you can promote it to your customers further. So let me get back to the slides. And let's go to another option. So another method is the fly from to API. The previous one was fly from. This one is fly from to. So it allows you to find the cheapest option within the departure date range and desirable stay days. So you can just ask, I would like to fly from Paris to Madrid, and I'd like to fly to Madrid from the 2nd of April up till the 10th of April. And I'm going to stay there for 10 to 15 days. So we'll go through all these dates, through all possible combinations, and in a couple of milliseconds, we will give you results which allow you to build something like what you can see on this screenshot. It was taken from the Lufthansa website, but again, this is just one way of how to express the data visually. Here are the months and the lowest prices for each month for some particular destination and a certain amount of stay days. And then there's a calendar down here. So you have probably seen on various websites a lot of different calendars with prices like this. So just keep in mind that all of them are built on this type of requests. Another method is plus minus 3 days. And this one allows you to catch those flights which has a frequency lower than 7. Sometimes your customer could search for a Monday flight, but the direct flight is only on Wednesday and Thursday. And by losing this connection, you won't probably get the cheapest possible option. But plus minus 3 days allows you to see 49 results like that in the surrounding days that you sent in your request, and it gives you the cheapest possible option. So it's also very useful to adjust the dates as you need. Now, I don't know about anything else that will provide you with the possibility to search in the past. And we have another method here called historical. So this historical method allows you to see or to look what was the price when someone was searching, for example, in August. What was the price to fly from London to Barcelona on those particular days when someone was searching, let's say in July. And you can use this information to do your own marketing analysis. Our colleagues in Poland implemented this method in their TMC solution, and they suggest to corporates whether it was the right moment to buy a particular ticket or not. So they track whether this was the minimum available price in the past when the ticket was bought. And they give them suggestions, to their corporate customers, on how to adjust their travel policy in order to get the lowest possible proposals. All the previous methods were APIs. You use them when you need to ask us for certain data, but this one is a callback. You can imagine that it's similar to when your iPhone gives you a push notification when something extraordinary or interesting happens on Facebook, for example. So the same thing is here, but we're calling not back to you, but to your servers once we track something interesting in our stream of pricing options that we have from Travelpod eStreaming. So let me show you how it works. Imagine that we have an incoming stream of data from Travelpod, and we split each proposal into categories by cities of origin and destination. So here's Barcelona, New York City. Here's, for example, London, Prague, etc. And we have a list of all possible city pairs that have ever been searched by Travelpod. So believe me, it's a pretty long list. And for each city pair, we split the data into 3 categories by the day of the first flight. So the first one is from now till 1 week, from 1 week till 1 month, and from 1 month till 1 year. And then we draw a line of the minimum fare in this category for the city pair. And once we track an unusual price drop, we immediately call you back and tell you that there is an unusual price drop, and you can do whatever you like with this information. Then it's up to you. You can post a Google ad automatically through Google API, and you can be the first one in Google to know about this unusual price drop, because once it appears on Travelpod servers, we're the first ones to know about it, or among the first ones. Or you can post it on Facebook, or you can send a message to those of your clients who have recently searched for the city pair, or you can do some special offers on your website automatically. It doesn't even have to be done manually by your managers, who simply cannot track all the available destinations, all these hundreds of thousands of options, but it can be done automatically. And again, this happens in milliseconds, so you will always be faster than your competitors. We can also offer reporting, different deep data analytics. We create them on demand. We have a vast amount of data, and depending on your business needs, we can search this data. My favorite example would be one of our clients who work in the meta search business tells us they have a list of top 10 city pairs that are the most interesting for them, and they wanted to know in which BSP they should do their ticketing to get the lowest possible price for these top priority city pairs. So it was quite easy for us to extract this information because we see prices from all the markets around the globe. And having this information, they can easily find a partner in that particular market, in that BSP, or even open a branch office there, and this way significantly decrease the cost for ticketing. So these reports are available and they are very useful. So again, what do we share? It's online data processing in any market, data warehousing, open API that brings the data into your hands, eStreaming API, and as I've mentioned, eStreaming API is a service on Amazon's strong backend. It can handle any number of requests that you need without any drops in response time. So let's move forward to another interesting part, and that's the pricing. So our pricing model is based on these points. First of all, we don't require any upfront fee, any minimum fee. You just pay as you go per concurrent request, and I'll explain a bit more later what this means. A free tier is also available, and it's absolutely sufficient to cover the needs of small online travel agencies, and definitely enough to do all the programming or testing. And as for big online travel agencies, the price will be comparable to the price of Travelpod eStreaming. So in other words, you can have the Travelpod eStreaming data, you can have the Travelpod eStreaming data with all the hard drives, all the data processing, all APIs, backends, all of that for a price comparable to Travelpod eStreaming. We don't offer any demo database or demo access. From day one, we give you access to production data. The free tier is free of charge. It doesn't have any limit, so you can use it as long as you want. It allows you to do 1,000 requests per day, but not faster than 1 request per second. So there's the limitation. And by request, we mean any request that you've seen on the previous slides that we've covered. RPS is a very important concept of our pricing policy, and it means it's a number of requests per second that you can send to us. In the free tier, you have only 1 request per second. Remember that that's the limitation for the free tier. So for example, if you send us 10 requests and you're in the free tier, you will receive from us just 1 response with a result, and then the other 9 responses will be that you are over your capacity. So nothing else will happen, and you just need to wait another second and send another request. Now, for those of you for whom 1 request is not enough, we have paid tiers. Price for reserved capacity of 1 request per second starts from $5 a day, as you can see here. And in paid tiers, we don't have any day limit. You just pay for your capacity, for the number of requests that you're going to send to us per second. So you should analyze maybe your logs or Google Analytics and so on. And if you discover, for example, that you will never see more than 4 simultaneous users on your website, and let's say that one visit requires to send one request to our API, it means that you need 4 requests per second, right? 4 simultaneous users on your website, one visit per user. It means 4 requests per second. So in such case, you would reserve 4 requests per second and pay 4 multiplied, so let's say 4 multiplied by 5, which is $20 per day. If you need more than 10 requests per second, we will immediately give you a 20% discount, and then each request per second will cost you $4 per day. For example, if you need 11 requests per second, it would be 11 multiplied by 4, which means it will cost you $44 per day. And for those of you who need a huge capacity, we can offer even lower prices. So if you require 20 requests per second and more, the price is $3.5 per request per day. In order to get your free production credentials, just go to this website. It's easy to remember. And you will just fill in and submit a short application form, and in a few seconds you will receive a confirmation email with your credentials and also the authorization token that, if you remember, you will use in the online eStreaming app to just to try out how or what data you can get through eStreaming API. So in other words, there is no provisioning, no interaction with us. Everything will be generated for you automatically and instantly. Now, apart from sharing infrastructure, we're also sharing a code. And as I told you before, we are a software developer, and we've been working in close cooperation with Travelpod for a pretty long time. So it means that we have a lot of know-how, and we do know how to use this technology. For example, if you take the data from eStreaming API, where you can do your shopping, and if you convince visitors of your website to buy a particular ticket, in order to buy it, you need to provide them with the ability to do a booking, and then you need to issue the ticket. So to do so, the best way is to use Travelpod Universal API. But Travelpod Universal API can be pretty complicated for some programmers. So that's why we have combined all our knowledge, all our experience, and created an absolutely open source project. We call it Universal API JSON, which is practically an envelope for Travelpod Universal API, which really simplifies usage of this technology. It's fully JSON based, whereas the original Universal API is XML based. So it offers a very interesting approach, and it's full of examples of how to use it, and which are 100% based on tests done by GDS experts. So all those are reasons why it has been downloaded from GitHub more than 10,000 times. Again, it is absolutely open source. You can see the source file, and in order to use it, you just need Universal API credentials, which you can get from the Travelpod representative in your country. Now, for those of you who are not programmers, let me give you just a basic helicopter view, so to speak. And this is a very basic request to do a booking in the Universal API language. It is printed on A4 pages using a very small font size. And as you can see, it's about 5 pages that XML required to be combined and processed to do simple booking. Now, this is the same thing, but done with Universal API JSON. Just last names, flight, and a couple of other details, and that's it. So feel free to use it however you want. It is completely free, open source, and please contribute if you like. Even if you find some errors there, please do comment and contribute this way. We will appreciate it very much. It doesn't require any registration or interaction with us. If you don't like something or if you like to upgrade it, we will really appreciate if you as developers will contribute to this. If you find any mistakes, please let us know through GitHub. And if you wish to use it, just Google UAPI JSON, as you can see right here. And the first page with search results will be full of our links. I would also like to encourage you to use our comprehensive online help for eStreaming API. I will now switch to my web browser, and you will receive a link to this online help along with your credentials once you submit the registration form. It contains all necessary details about eStreaming API, how to use it, everything is described here. Everything is described here. And there are a very important part of the help are frequently asked questions, FAQ, right here. So these are all the usual questions that are asked by our customers. So I'm sure that 99% of your questions that you might have are already answered here. Anyway, if you have more questions and you don't find your answers there, then of course, feel free to contact us. Just drop us an email at sales@cesystems.com. So thank you very much again for joining today's webinar, and have a great day.